Now before we get started, I would like to reevaluate some win percentages from parts 1 and 2 of this series. Instead of using 30%, 40%, 50%, and so on, I will use terms such as low diff, mid diff, high diff, etc. I've been thinking about it for a while and I realized something. One theropod hybrid against a giant like Maximus is more one-sided than I previously thought. As Metriogenetics explained in one of his videos, Uramada would be as slow as a brick. He's too slow to do anything to Maximus. Gorash has much larger jaws and a much bulkier build than Metriorannus, which I think gives him a higher win rate. Everest's massive spikes can deal fatal amounts of damage to Maximus. Maximus practically can't do anything to Everest without getting stabbed or possibly even impaled. Kludge is heavily armored everywhere except the underside of the neck, which can lead to fatal injuries if attacked by Maximus. And even if Maximus doesn't notice this weak spot, he can topple Kludge over by shoving him. I used to think that Terravore was a completely functional hybrid. Since then, several creators such as Metriogenetics and Dodogenetics have corrected me. Maximus wins by doing literally nothing, while Terravore dies from purely existing. Noraosaurus' speed from the Allosaurus is where it starts to hank. Allosaurus moved twice as fast as T-Rex. A T-Rex's body simply isn't designed to move that fast. Mason is similar to Gorash, but with a smaller size, smaller arms, and smaller and weaker jaws. Sure, it has strong armor, but will that really save it from a stomp or shove by an animal 7 times its size? I think not. Cronus is basically Metriorannus, but with a longer tail and quills. He does slightly better at killing Maximus, but stays in the same diff category as Metriorannus. Jack's high-pitched scream is what gives him the win rate of some of the sauropod combatants, as any moment Maximus is doing nothing is a moment where he can be brutally attacked. Now, let's dive into judging the combatants of this episode! Bowser is a great and congruent hybrid overall, but it is too small to do much damage. Sure, it has a powerful bite, but that won't do much against a giant like Maximus. Glowtail is an awesome sauropod in many rights, but this matchup is basically bigger sauropod versus smaller sauropod. Sure, Glowtail has claws, an armored whiptail, and comically large spikes, but will that save it from a shove by a monster more than twice its weight? I think not. I feel like this fight could go either way. Aletrex could repeatedly stab Maximus to death, while Maximus could bite Aletrex and use his superior stamina to avoid Aletrex until he succumbs to the venom. I didn't list Alatrex's high-pitched scream as something Aletrex could use to win because it just doesn't work. Sauropod throats work like trombones, where the longer the throat, the deeper the sound. His scream will be too deep to be a scream anymore. Krudd's strong and highly flexible armor will make it extremely difficult for Maximus to land a hit. The only hits that could do something would be possibly a tail whip to the face, a body shove, and a bite to the unarmored neck. And that last one is only if Maximus finds the weak spot, which might be difficult. This hybrid is amazing and has an awesome design, don't get me wrong, but one singular modified T-Rex has a very little chance of beating Maximus. It's just too small to do anything that effective. Climbing on Maximus's neck is extremely dangerous for Killian, as 1, he can be kicked with extreme force in an attempt to climb up Maximus, and 2, he can be flung down with the same results as being defenestrated out of a window 7 stories high. However, if Killian stays on Maximus's neck and doesn't fall off, Maximus gets his throat ripped out. This is the same situation as Tyrannespine. Good genome, good design, but too small to accomplish much. I'm just going to call these hybrids that are too small to do anything important Tyrannespine hybrids, because so many of them are Tyrannespined, like this next one. Kingkiller. How is a decently large armored ceratopsian going to defeat Maximus? Just look at Kingkiller in the size chart. He's tiny. This size chart is the exact opposite of Kingkiller's. Look how giant Arishem is. Look how giant those spikes are. There's a clear winner here, and it's not Maximus. Brutus was all fine and dandy until his weight stat, 14 tons. On a 27-foot-long animal, it just doesn't work. Brutus gets crushed under his own weight. Anklebreaker is very similar to Glowtail, but Anklebreaker has a longer neck than tail, a tail thagomizer, and no trunk. I think Anklebreaker does slightly better than Glowtail because of the thagomizers, but they both stay in the same diff category. Laura is just a slightly stronger T-Rex. In a group of one, there's not many effective attacks can use against Maximus. Although the club tail and back spikes can be very dangerous for Maximus, Ragnarok's height and weight disadvantage make him the likely loser of the match. No explanation needed. Steven falls flat on his face from his short forelimbs, while his hind limbs get completely crushed under his weight. Lance is similar to Kingkiller, but a lot bigger. In fact, Lance has nearly the exact same hip height as Maximus, as you can tell from the size chart. However, the size difference between the two, in terms of total height, length, width, weight, etc., doesn't really help Lance all that much. Iblis is a hybrid, whose appearance here has been very much anticipated by a certain hybrid creator, not to name any names. Anyways, unlike Uramada, Iblis's contributors actually prevent it from being very slow. Iblis can charge at Maximus, stab Maximus, bite Maximus, slap Maximus with its whip tail, the list goes on and on. The only way I see Maximus winning is in the event that he can topple over Iblis and crush it. This thing is 10 times worse than Brutus. The creator claims it weighs 73 tons. Mind you, it's only around 39 feet long. This thing cannot survive. And even if it was lighter, it gets Tyrannespine. Kalualess is supposed to be very aquatic, yet it has little to no aquatic traits whatsoever. And despite being slightly larger than the other biped competitors, it's still sort of Tyrannespines. Arthur is similar to Steven in the way that it hanks, that similarity being that they both have to do with the forelimbs. Two tiny T-Rex arms will snap under the pressure of walking on 4 legs, and Arthur can't even walk on 2 legs because they will snap. 4 or more legs are absolutely necessary in supporting the body weight of a sauropod. Since Bastion is armored literally everywhere, the only thing Maximus can do is body shove Bastion and try his best to ignore the pain. Oh my me, another 70+ ton animal that cannot survive at that weight. This time, it's a pterosaur. A pterosaur. Kevin's flight may seem too overpowered, but a swing from Maximus's neck or tail knocks him out of the sky like a meteor. Armatitan 3.0 is bigger, longer, and stronger than Everest from earlier, and has the same spikes as it. Maximus is done for with how easily he can be stabbed. Hulk is the worst Hank in this entire series, even ahead of the infamous Steven and Arthur, the 2-legged sauropods. He can't even lift his own head as it has 2 4-foot tusks on the chin and 2 20+ foot tusks near the trunk, and both of them are infused with ivory. Additionally, it has horns, a casque, and spikes on its head and neck. It will also get internal chemical burns from all of the massive amount of bird-like waste it will produce. Conciliatory Past also mentioned that his sail would be too heavy. Literally the only advantages that Colosseus has is his bigger body and spikes. Mind you, none of these spikes are thagomizers. Also, this match is another bigger sauropod versus smaller sauropod match. Now, 5 anticipated hybrids actually didn't make it into this episode. Carnor by JRN and Skya by Clamps' Genomes became archived posts. Fasolosaurus primus and Ferrosaurus were nowhere to be found where they were supposed to be, and Benjamin's genome was never given to the public. But don't get your hopes down, because there is one more announcement, and it solves this issue. for this tournament. 1. No human contributions allowed. And by human, I mean all species in the genus Homo. 2. If your hybrid hanks, it will be barred from the tournament. 3. Your hybrid must not be fully aquatic. 4. Unlike in Maximus matchups, any foul play, including but not limited to racism, sexism, bullying, discrimination, theft of hybrids, plagiarism, and making others do the work of making your hybrid, will bar you from the tournament. And AI fits into the category of others. 5. There is no weight, height, length, or width/wingspan limit. As long as it doesn't hank your hybrid, you can have the most outlandishly large or tiny dimensions. 6. Only animal genome contributors are allowed. And by animal, I mean every organism in the taxonomic kingdom Animalia. 7. No inappropriate hybrid designs are allowed, and no displaying your hybrid in a sexual manner. And no drawing your hybrid with a thong on or something, that's just weird. 8. You must provide a side view illustration of your hybrid. If somebody else made the illustration for you, give them credit. 9. You can submit up to 10 hybrids. 10. You are allowed to remove your hybrid from the tournament. 11. Only real animals are allowed. No fictional animals and no fictional representations of animals. You can use a Spinosaurus, but not Asset 87. You can use a lion, but not Mufasa. 12. Your hybrid gets no artificial weapons, including but not limited to robotic limbs, swords, chainsaws, axes, headgear, artificial body armor made of wood, metal, etc., any mechanical body parts, Neuralink, and maces. 13. Creativity is recommended, but not a factor in hybrid judging. 14. You can use hybrids created before this war, regardless of if they have fought in previous wars. 15. I probably won't need to cover this, but no fictional superpowers like teleportation, laser vision, levitation, etc. 16. You must submit your hybrid to the Google form in the description, regardless of if you made a post or video to go along with it. This will solve the missing hybrid genomes issue. 17. Packs are strictly forbidden. 18. The most important rule: have fun. And finally, 19. The end submission date is September 1st at 11:59 p.m. UTC plus 12. In this tournament, your hybrid will first face off against Maximus. If it beats Maximus, it will move on to the final round where it will compete against a hybrid that will be revealed later. The winner of the tournament will be who does the best at beating this hybrid. All of the hybrids in Maximus matchups that have already won the first round and beaten Maximus, those being Everest, Kludge, Aletrex, Krudd, Killian, Lance, Iblis, Bastion, and Armatitan 3.0 will move on to the final round in the Maximus Trials.